Picture this. You're about to take off for a work trip and you get on the plane and you start to suddenly feel the fear of flying coming up. You go find your seat and you try to settle down, but the thoughts of fear are racing in your mind. Now, fear is an emotion. It's an emotion, but it's causing a negative impact on your mind as well as your body. Right? Think about it. Your mind starts to create these fake thoughts of doom and gloom, like the plane's going to go down. I might not make it. Will I see my kids again? Will I see my parents again? Whatever the thought is going to just consume you within the next few minutes, right? So this fear emotion that you're feeling is creating new thoughts in your mind. Okay. Now, is there something happening in your body? Yes, for sure, right? You start to get a nervous pit in your stomach, maybe. Your heart starts to race faster. Your breath becomes shallow. Your blood pressure might go up. Sometimes people have heart attacks out of stress and fear, right? So our body is responding to this emotion of fear. So if your body can create a response to your emotion temporarily, imagine if you don't address this emotion and your body doesn't allow itself to process it. If you have pets, if you have a dog, you will see that after they get into a ruffle with another animal or they just have this aggressive play, they will come back and then they will shake it off, right? What are they doing? This is their body's natural way of letting go of the emotions or the stress that they took on, right? And in the same way, our body is programmed to release things like fear through sweat, through racing hearts, through high blood pressure, through adrenaline pumping in your system, through butterflies in your stomach. However it is that we are programmed to release fear, it is already automatically in our system. Now, the problem that comes up is when we don't allow ourselves to feel the fear. So let's say you're in the plane and the fear comes up and you're sitting there smiling or sitting there with no expression of fear and just holding it together. And you're like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Everything's okay. Nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. What is happening to that fear? You're not giving that fear an outlet. Your emotions need about 90 seconds to be released. That's it. Can we give our emotions 90 seconds to be released? And can we understand that our emotions produce a physical reaction in our body? Now, there are multiple books that have been written about the impact of negative emotions on our health. The Body Keeps the Score is one of them. The Louise Hay book that says Heal Yourself has a whole list of emotions that are connected to physical ailments. We're already feeling this, right? In this example we see. Another example would be a movie that we're watching, right? And if you're watching a movie and you see something terrible or tragic happen in the movie, your body can produce actual physical tears as a reaction, right? Or shock or fear or anxiety. And this isn't even a real situation, right? It's a fake fake movie that's playing on a screen that you're watching. But it can have the power to produce emotions inside your mind, which can then have an impact on your body. So if negative emotions can have an impact on your body, what do you think positive emotions do to your body, right? Whether the emotion is good or bad, our body is equipped to process it. And we're going to take this a step further now and talk about energy. So there have been studies now that show that negative emotions can have an impact on inflammation in our body and cause more of it. They can reduce our immunity and bring it down. So emotions need to be felt, they need to be let go, and they need to be processed. And if we don't do that and we suppress them, we are inviting more illness. Because if you're feeling inflamed or if you're feeling high stress cortisol in your body and you're doing that over and over and over again and pretending that everything's okay, then your body's going to take a toll. There's going to be a toll on your body. Then your body's going to have to pay the price of that. And eventually these suppressed emotions can turn into physical problems. So now let's dig a little deeper into the world of energy. Think about a toxic boss or a toxic friend or a toxic relative. When you hang out with them and they're constantly in that victim mindset or complaining energy or just whining, or you have a negative Nancy in your world for some reason, and they are constantly bickering around you. You feel the energy of that space, right? And every time you enter their space, their office, their room, you almost dread going in there. Whether they say a word or not, you feel that energy, right? Something's off about them. Something's bugging you already. Similarly, places have energies, right? So if you go to a prison, if you go to a rock concert, you can't meditate there. You can't find your calm there. And so negative energies impact us as well without people saying a word sometimes, without any emotions or words being exchanged. You might feel the presence of that toxicity or negativity in your body. Now, if this happens, again, your emotions are being impacted. You feel the stress of the environment that you're in. You feel the stress on your body, right? You start to feel like, I need to get out and shake it out. My husband would say sometimes he would get out of a, stressful meeting at work and he would just need to like shake things out, like shake his body out because it was just so like draining for him to be in that room. And we've all got inbuilt coping skills like that in our body. I bet you have one that you're not even aware that you do. I was just attending a workshop on face yoga, and the woman was talking about how your face is like the dashboard of your emotions, I think. And she was having us do this exercise where she was like, breathe in and then exhale with a loud. And I can't tell you how shocked I was in that moment because that is something that I just did instinctively to release stress. Like if I was, in a battle with my teenage son at that point a few years ago, or if I was coming out of a meeting that was just too stressful, I would just do that naturally. And so my body already knew how to release that negative energy that has been sitting on me or that I've taken on from a meeting or a room. Now let's flip that whole thing on its head, right? Because again, there have been studies done that when there are places with calm energy and Zen vibes, they can have an amazing impact on our bodies. Let's also talk about nature and how soothing that is, right? There's a whole concept called forest bathing that has been studied. It's a Japanese tradition. I recently went on a forest bathing session. I think it's called Shinrin-yoku is the official name, but they've tested it. And from what the lady that was running it was telling me that in Japan, they found out that the healthcare costs were going up tremendously. And so the government decided to make forest bathing popular amongst its residents because they knew the impact that forest bathing was having on people's stress levels, their inflammation, their cortisol, and eventually their immunity and their sense of calm and peace. So there are, again, elements in nature that have the power to help us feel better. So if toxic people, toxic places, toxic experiences have the power to bring us down, similarly, positive energies like those in nature and in meditation spaces and in sound healing sessions and in breath work have the power to help us release all that stress and in our energy that we're carrying. This kind of brings me to the energy healing work that I do and the whole reason I wanted to do this podcast episode, because I had a woman come to me recently with a chronic back issue, and we did some healing work, and she was kind of at her wit's end because she had been to all the doctors, taken all the steroids, the medications, and nothing was working, right? And for me, as I started to do the energy work and tap into her energy, it became very clear to me very quickly that this was more than just a physical issue, that this was actually a chronic result of her not being able to stand up for herself at work or speak up in front of her husband or suffer through the abuse that, her teenage kid was putting her through. And so it, came down to how long have you been enduring this stress on your mind, on your emotions, on your energy, on your physical body? And because you haven't addressed it, because you haven't let it go, is it possible that this is building up in your back and causing chronic pain? Now, when she first heard it, she dismissed it almost as like, there's no way that that's even possible. I know that it's because of me sitting on this chair at my work for 20 years. That's just not the most comfortable. And the posture I sit in, or like commuting all, in the car for 2 hours every day. And I was like, I see it so clearly because I'm in the energy world. And that's why I wanted to kind of work through this podcast episode to show you how we are already feeling the impact of negative emotions and positive emotions on our mind and our body and our energy, right? When we are, think about sometimes like when you have a headache and you're like, oh, I just want to go to bed. And then you have a couple of girlfriends, they call you and they're like, we're going out for ice cream. You want to come with us? Let's go. And then that ice cream trip turns into a night out and you're having fun and you're laughing and you're enjoying with them. And then you come home and you fall asleep and you wake up the next day and you're like, I didn't even feel that headache while I was with them, right? Our body and our energy is constantly impacted by the emotions we feel. So if you feel any kind of positive, negative emotion, whatever it is, allow yourself to feel it, acknowledge it, express it if you can, share it, and release it, right? Don't hold it in, because when you hold it in is when the problem starts. And then when you come to someone like me for an energy healing session, the reason I can help you is because I have done the work to shed a lot of those negative emotions from my body. The work that I've done to heal myself began with addressing and acknowledging the emotional baggage that I was carrying that was unwarranted and unnecessary. And so when I released a lot of my emotions that I was carrying unnecessarily through multiple modalities of healing, I mean, I've tried everything from acupressure to hypnosis and everything in between. But the key is that when I released them, I was able to feel so much better in my body, feel so much lighter in my mind, and my energy just went up and vibrates now at a higher frequency. Now, that doesn't make me special. That just means that I've done the work to get there. And you can too. And that's the purpose of this podcast, right? It is to remind you that when someone who has done that work on themselves and is a deep level of peace and calm in their body, their mind, and their soul, they can then send you intentionally some of that energy. And along with that, being a medium, I get to channel energy from multiple healers. Some of them might be your guides, some of them might be mine, and we channel that energy together. So I'm not just using my high vibrational energy, I'm also using the universal energy to then send you some of those vibrations. I'll give you an example. I recently got into playing the singing bowls, the crystal bowls, and I'm now going to be leading sound bowl healing sessions. And I played with my own sound bowl set for a few hours. And the next day, I found myself waking up at 4:30 in the morning, bright, alert, focused, and with this feeling of the most deepest rest that I could have gotten. Normally, I'm not that alert and focused first thing in the morning, not at 4:30 a.m. anyway. I'm more of a night person than a morning person. And so I felt the difference in one session. And so, you might look at all of these modalities and be like, I don't know, whatever maybe they work, maybe they don't. But the next time you doubt them, think about this. Why do you cry when you watch a movie? Or why do you let the fear that you feel show up in your body? Or why do you feel zen when you go to a spa or a retreat? And then question the modality. When you experience a healing modality, instead of worrying about whether it's real or not, feel the shift in yourself. And then when you go and work with an intuitive healer like myself, you will be a little more open to receiving that energy, because I'm not fixing your body, right? And when I'm doing an energy healing session, I'm literally activating the energy in your body, in your mind, helping you release emotions that you've been carrying so that you can feel lighter. And when you feel lighter, maybe you'll be able to pay that forward to somebody else. So think about it. Some food for thought here. So as you're listening to this today, I want to invite you to notice how you feel without judging, just becoming aware of the emotions that you feel throughout your day. And also think about the energy that you are surrounded by. Are you surrounded by toxic people, toxic places, toxic environments? are you surrounded by positive, uplifting, empowering places and people? So where are you and what needs to shift for you to feel better? Let me know what comes up for you as you're listening to this episode.